Eye on Agriculture with Britton Rucker.
The border's back open and the cattle markets react. Why the USDA's move to reopen livestock imports from Mexico has prices on edge and what it means for producers. Plus, after rain delays in Kansas wheat fields, could grain quality be at risk? We're breaking it down with a K-State expert next on Eye on Agriculture. Good evening and welcome in. I'm Britton Rucker. Corn farming isn't just about feeding livestock or fueling ethanol. It's also fueling the Kansas economy in a major way. A new economic impact study released by the National Corn Growers Association shows that Kansas corn generated $5.5 billion in total economic output in 2024. The study also revealed that corn farming in Kansas supported close to 16,000 jobs last year and brought in over $909 million in wages. The state's total corn production value topped to $3.29 billion, helping Kansas rank among the top corn producing states in the country. Nationally, corn farming accounted for $123 billion in economic output, supported over 440,000 jobs, and contributed to $50 billion to the U.S. economy. Speaking of corn prices hit new contract lows again Tuesday, with traders backing off due to better crop ratings and no major weather threats. Analysts say funds are still selling, and unless something changes, prices could dip below $4, possibly down to $3.80. Soybeans also dropped before bouncing back thanks to a rally in bean oil. That jump came after the Senate passed a bill extending tax credits for biofuels made with North American feedstock. Wheat led the gains Tuesday, supported by a slow harvest and quality issues from heavy rains. Kansas crops are showing steady progress with a few delays. This week, farmers had just over 5 days of suitable field work with moisture levels mostly adequate. Now, wheat harvest is behind schedule, just 53% complete, while corn and soybeans are developing close to average pace. Sorghum and the sunflower planting are up, nearly wrapping up, but cotton is lagging with only 12% squaring. Overall, crop and pasture conditions remain mostly good across the state, despite recent rains and shifting field conditions. Fertilizer prices are going up fast. With the cost compared to what farmers are making, it could be some of the worst prices we've seen. Now, experts say one reason is trouble around the world. The U.S. bombed sites in Iran, and since Iran makes a lot of fertilizer, that sent prices up. With India placing a large order recently and Brazil's demand growing, prices climbed even more. At the same time, China is holding back fertilizer exports, and with a war still happening in Ukraine and the Middle East, global supplies are tight. Farm experts say farmers need to stay alert and talk with their suppliers because any good deals on fertilizer might not last long. Cattle markets took a hit after the USDA announced it will reopen the Mexican border to livestock. After nearly 2 months of supervision over New World screwworm concerns, the USDA has announced a reopening of ports for live cattle, bison, and equine imports from Mexico. The first port to reopen, Douglas, Arizona, starting tomorrow. And this move follows 8 weeks of surveillance showing no spread of the screwworm. USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins says the decision is rooted in science and close coordination with Mexico. Surveillance and treatment protocols will stay in place. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association is backing the plan. Kansas cattle leaders are heading to Minnesota this August for the annual Feeding Quality Forum. The event brings together producers and industry experts to discuss everything from premium beef demand to health issues like bovine heart failure. Conservation, marketing, and carcass quality are all on the agenda. Gary Smith, a renowned meat science professor, will also receive this year's Industry Achievement Award. Registration is now open. You can find a link to that right now on our Eye on Agriculture section. A unique partnership taking shape across the border in St. Louis. A solar company is paying farmers to rent their sheep in order to maintain their property. Pivot Energy has operations across the United States, and they've started dozens of grazing projects like this in order to maintain the land. For local ranchers, it's an opportunity to make some extra money while saving on feed.
It's a win-win for the sheep farmer. We get paid by the company to maintain the vegetation, and that's what we're always looking for, is more pasture in order to grow a herd.
I mean, right behind us is a giant cornfield, right? But we really firmly believe that by placing ag production underneath those solar panels, we're able to truly co-locate on a site and able to get a double harvest.
There are more than 55 active grazing and solar projects underway nationally by Pivot Energy. Still ahead on Eye on Agriculture, with the economy squeezing profits, some farms are inviting guests to cozy up with cows, an experience they say is quite moving.